Good, bad, evil. Balance. We've seen that stuff all before. We've seen everything a story can give us, but nothing at all. We've gone and dig deep, and we've also played surface level. So, how does that apply here? Where are we going? What is this edit to us? So, the edit, the editing project, which I have named Loyal, Brave, and True, is a very complex edit, actually. One that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of time, a lot of doing. One that I have literally been thinking about since this summer. Just all in little different bits and pieces. And now that we're here, I have basically figured it out. Not all of it detail by detail, of course. But a good enough amount of it. Basically. The spring-ish kind of going over to summer in June. The soundtrack for Disney's Mulan, which can be slightly controversial, came out. Of course, I'm pretty sure everyone listened to the soundtrack at some point, or the majority of people. If you haven't, and you can, go check it out, because I'm not even gonna. That soundtrack is a boss. It's an awesome soundtrack. You may not like the music, but soundtrack is pretty good, so. Anyway, I fell in love and kind of became infatuated with the song that Christina Aguilera made called Loyal, Brave, and True. You see, it talks about, in context of the movie, Mulan growing up and going into war, being in the same place as her father, walking in the footsteps of many people that have come before her, cultivating all of that training that her father's given her, that her army, her friends and army, the advice that they've given, the generals, lieutenants, everything, family history. She's really coming into this moment where they're taking everything in, everything that they've ever learned, and they're just applying it, which is truly understanding and true knowledge. It's really about understanding the great taxations things can take on other things, and that in war, this is how warfare works. It's not easy. It's not simple. It's complicated. It's complex. It has its easier sides to it, like everything does. But on the inside, on this level, at that level, it's deep. It takes this, it takes that, it gives that, but it can also be negative. It's a negative and positive effect. It's a neutral effect. She's kind of putting all of these things that she's learned and figuring it out figuring out that this is warfare. This is life. And out of context, it could literally be that. It's a song of growing wiser. People like to call it growing older, but it's growing wiser. It's having more knowledge. It's having the experiences. It's hearing the stories. It's understanding the world. It's not always going for the glory, but understanding why you do what you do, how it impacts this, how it impacts that. It's the deeper understanding. And now that's why I chose the song. This song, it means so much. It brings so much to the forefront. It talks about being wise, inexperienced, but yet naive. Going into the unknown ready, but yet so unready, yet so unprepared. Kind of like Lewis's and Clark's adventure. You don't know anything except you're heading west, You gotta bring the essentials, but you don't know what else to pack. You know what to expect, but you don't. And that's very true about life. And so when I cultivated that moment at first, I saw it very much as bloodline and lineage. At first I had this whole entire ideal of, oh my gosh, let's have this be about Luke and Vader. Because at that time, I was really starting to get into making more things about Luke and Vader's relationship, which is understandable because I literally started this channel off of Reylo Edits. For the ones of you who have been around since then, or for you newer watchers who have gone back that far. But yes, it may look like I started off doing fanfic readings, but that is not true. I have tons of uploads, so YouTube doesn't show them all on my channel video thing. But if you do go back and you watch like my Reylo videos, the older ones will probably get suggested to you. Anyway, I had really gotten into this whole entire relationship with Luke and Vader and thinking, okay, Luke is stepping into the shoes of his father, going into war. How do I make this? How do I go back to the main trilogy, to the prequel area? How do I make this a thing? How do I grip this all together? That's what I was originally thinking. That thought has literally passed my mind for about so many days. Every time I hear that song, I think kind of that. Not all the time, because I do have the means to also use it for my fanfiction, because it works there too. But when the new Obi-Wan trailers come out, I'm watching, I'm getting hyped, I'm so excited. And I start to really understand something, something there, Obi-Wan's learning now. He's gotta learn the ways of the Force that the Jedi didn't teach him. He's gotta learn to not be in the dogmatic light, as Palpatine said. Rights also go to Star Wars, Lucasfilms, Disney, as you know. But, he's gotta learn all the things that they used to teach in that faith, in that religion as a whole, because they approached it as the Force is the Force. There is no light, there is no dark. Because they see it as there is no light side powers, there are no dark side powers. And if you are new into the fandom of Star Wars, hello, hi, you might be getting overwhelmed. If you were older or middle-aged Star Wars fans, you'll probably get what I'm saying. As in, like, fans who have been here for a significant amount of time in the fandom. Not really age, but they looked at the Force and they approached it as the Force is a force. Yes, it can be used for good, evil, this and that. And it can also be used in the middle, justly, fairly, which is the way they used it. They didn't exclude powers because they didn't see any powers as too crazy, too strong, or tyrannical. Because in all honesty, anything that you consider good can be used for evil. Anything evil, that you consider evil can be used for good. And it could just be used in a neutral fashion. They understood that. But the Jedi Order of the Late Republic that got involved in the Republic lost that. And that was because the way that the lore explains it is that Jediism is really supposed to be put in a secluded area for it to work. And that may not apply to the actual faith of it. It may. I don't exactly know. But because of all of this stuff and all of this corruption from the years of the Republic coming about and discovering the Jedi and many things else, they've kind of built their own society within the Republic, and that's what ruined them. That's what let Palpatine sneak right under them, get them. Let the rise of the Sith Empire happen again. All because they kind of integrated themselves and they were like, okay, 1, we have to stop using these powers because they're evil. As soon as they started thinking about that in their old society, before they were with the Republic, that is the first thing that screwed them over. 2, they did not leave Darth Revan alone. Instead of leaving the people who just started using all these quote-unquote really dangerous powers, which you could call dark side powers, to extremities, rather than using all powers, which some groups did just still use all powers when they broke off from the temple. They hunted them down, and that's what started the war of it to extremists. Because it's like, we have to be light all the time. We have to be dark all the time. No, it really isn't like that. It's light side powers, dark side powers. And that's how it's always worked. So, if you don't have, that nice middle ground, you screw yourselves over. Because of all of that, and the tension and the division, and then the adding of the Republic, and then the adding of the Clone Wars that Palpatine created, the Jedi Order was already crumbling, and he just exposed all of its weaknesses. Now Yoda is trying to somehow mend that all. Teach Obi-Wan all of that. You have to see that he's got to learn this. He's got to learn to go through the pain and into power. And, no, the Obi-Wan series isn't out yet. It got delayed, unfortunately, due to our current situation. I only got to use the trailer, but it was fantastic. And I used part of the Clone Wars into showing his maturity over the years. I did a lot for the first edit, which is all made out of Loyal, Brave, and True, that I did with a cover, and it was amazing. It takes us into our transition with Luke. So, now we get from this transition from Luke from how he's growing up and basically taking matters into his own hands and saying that this is my life, I should live it for me, and I should do what I want to do. I should go out here, I should take this chance with Obi-Wan and be adventurous and grow up, see the world. And now we go to the next segment or part of this edit within many, which I'll explain later, for Han. And what he basically shows is the experience with no experience. And I know that seems crazy, but what I mean by that is being the wise fool, being the toughened child who has grown up and made living in this world basically by themselves and has had to depend on people and friends, really, like family, to help him do that and thrive. And to him, basically, loyalty is everything. It's like, he's gone this far down life. People have betrayed him, backstabbed him. You know, he always needs to know what he's getting into before he really gets into it. He always has to have his guard up. But most importantly, he always has to know how to move on. Which really, this next song that goes along with what we see throughout this transition kind of get into goes along with the edit perfectly, in my mind's eye view. What it says and shows is that basically, go after your dreams, go after your hopes, go after your aspirations in life, kid. Do what you want in life, live wildly, live freely. But also know how to let go. And letting go can be something really hard for all of us to understand. Moving on and gaining clarity is how we actually move forward. Moving on is just leaving it behind you and never thinking about it again, suppressing memories. In a way, Han kind of does a mix of both, which is healthy but both unhealthy at the same exact time. He really gets into this. You know, okay, this is it. This is what I'm given. This is what I'm going to use. You know, I'm given nothing, but I'm going to make a lot out of nothing. You know, I'm going to survive no matter what. I'm a survivor, and this is what I'm doing. His main goal in life is to live life, but not on other people's terms either. It's on his terms. He wants to do more than just survive. He wants to do more than just be getting by or even thriving like the other person, settled down in a nice home with a family. He wants to live his life on the run. He wants to have that danger, that excitement, basically that life where you don't know what's coming next. And he wants to live things. He wants to do things and live a life on his own terms. Make monies on his own means, you know. Get credits this way, get credits that way. And for him, that means, okay, if that means I have to be a smuggler, and that means I get to spite the Empire, I'm doing it. That's what he says, basically. You know, if that means that I got thrown out of the Imperial Academy for having a heart about someone, well, I'm going to keep my heart. But as always, I'm not going to open it up that easily. And if I am the wild child and I basically, quote unquote, don't do what I'm told because I know it's the wrong thing and I know what is right and wrong just in my head, in my mind, because of my own moral compass, and you're training all these Russian Imperial soldiers just to be blinded idiots, but you're training us pilots to think more skillfully. Like the Navy, you're teaching us navies to think more skillfully, think more intellectually than just being purely brainwashed. Then why are you still trying to brainwash us? What are you hiding from us? He basically comes to the terms of the point of I hate the Empire. I do. Okay? It's horrible. It's taken so much away from me. It's taken Kira away from me. It's basically taken my parents away from me. I am in this horrible situation. And basically, this post-perfect golden time era to live in that I almost know nothing about. I've got no real good education chances unless I shoot my shot at being in the Imperial Navy. Where am I going in life? To be a kid and have to think those things is insane, 1. 2, to see the Empire oppressing all the ones around you and oppressing yourself as well, but knowing that your only way of getting a really good education is going to fight for them, going to serve them, and going to get an education from them for free if you apply and you make it. That is really messed up, 1. And 2, it's where are we? You can't balance this out. This is insane. I, 1, just make it by in life and stick to my morals, or I, 2, bend my morals a bit or a lot and do more than thrive. Do more than just try to survive. Do more than just scrape by, but literally thrive in my life. But then to get to the point in the Imperial Academy where he sees that they're just a little less brainwashed than the stormtroopers, than the Imperial troopers. That's when he knows that it's never going to end. That no matter what he does in the Empire, he's never going to be able to live life on his own terms, even if he's rich. Because let's face it, when you have wealth, you have opportunity, and the more of it that you have in social hierarchy, the more socially you can advance, the more opportunities you can get. But all of that just to be more and more and more brainwashed by Emperor Palpatine, what is the point? He thinks to himself, I might as well stop, leave my life, and just be done. Because they're going to take me out of the Navy for doing something that I feel is right. 1, saving a human being. 2, also saving a very expensive fighter that is state of the art, okay, brand new, top line, first class fighter, and telling me that I should have stayed in line. But that person would have been shot. Okay, yes, the Empire probably doesn't care about that last one. Because it's we have plenty of money. We have plenty of people giving us money. Palpatine has tons and tons of money that if he loses a TIE fighter or two, he doesn't care. That's what they know, that's what they think. And they put no value into that person's life. He's a pilot. They're a pilot. She's a pilot. XE so-and-so, they're a pilot. We don't care. They're a pilot. They knew what they were doing. You know, even though you might have a better chance of survival, you knew what you were doing when you joined the Navy. You know, you didn't join to become a corporal. You didn't join to become a commander. And let's be honest. If your family has a low status, you have to work your way up in the empire by literally climbing all the way up. You have to start at some of the lowest ranks possible that you can hit to climb up. I mean, when you think about it, the only way for Han to make it through the Empire would be staying in the Navy, being an excellent fighter pilot, and then getting put into a really good squadron, and then eventually, over time, becoming better and better, world-renowned, and then earning himself a spot of being one of the commanders of all of the fleets. That's the way he would have done it. Because he didn't have the social status required just to walk into that position, nor does Han have the most likable personality or highest IQ. Let's be honest. He's not Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's not going to walk in and go to school and, you know, basically blow all of his teachers and students away, but be bullied because he's from the Chiss Empire. Because that's not Han. Thrawn is out to save his family and his empire itself, which is why he's investigating the Empire. They sent the smartest person to do that job. But on a regular basis, you know that you just cannot walk into the Empire and automatically just gain tons of power. So for Han to see that, it was his wake-up call to be like, okay, no, I'm done. And then eventually, he gets out of the academy and he becomes a smuggler. Because he wants adventure. Which is also why he kind of joined the Empire in the first place. But he also wants to live on his own terms. He also wants to have his own morals, do what he thinks is right. Which is pretty much how he ends up working for Jabba the Hutt. But also how he pretty much ends up, you know, joining Leia and Luke. And becoming a rebel. That's how he ends up joining the rebellion. Because, no, he's not totally living his life on his own terms. But through all the trials and tribulations that he's been through in life, now he understands, in turn, that you have to listen to commands sometimes. You have to listen to orders sometimes. It makes things better. This is a noble cause that we're fighting for. And with the help of Luke and Leia, he gets inspired to be something better and also make a life of his own design like he's always wanted to. And with Chewbacca really, really supporting him to do such a thing, Han comes around to it. That is how he ends up joining the fight. And so, when we have this segment of this story and this little edit within it, you very much see that he was always casted out in life. and that he didn't have much of a choice. You know, he has to wear armor around his heart. But when he sees a noble cause, he goes out and fights for it. And he's not going to just let you shut him down just because of that. You know, if you see what he sees as wrong, and he knows that it truly is right morally and ethically anyway, then he's gonna fight for it. And that's what's being shown. You can see that in A New Hope, the way that it was designed, that Leia was already changing the way that Han and both Luke saw things. Not only through a political, diplomatic view, okay, but also, you know, giving Luke a little courage, a little bravery to be himself and be bolder, and giving Han the same to open up more to people. Because Leia truly does understand what it is. You know, she understands that Han has had a really hard time as a young child, even though she's just met him. And for Luke, the same. And that Luke seeing Obi-Wan died was something really heartbreaking, something really big, because Obi-Wan has always been Luke's life. He's always been there. Even though Luke hasn't always seen him, Obi-Wan has always been watching him. And he still continues to. But because he's always seen his presence, because he's always felt him, because he literally grew up with the man, even though he didn't physically see him and know him for basically all of his life, it makes it hard to see him die, especially because it's the only one in the universe, in the galaxy, who's got information on your father and is willing to tell you about him, to talk about him. Nobody else is. You've known this man forever. That's pretty rough. That's really tough. So in the next segment that takes us over to Leia's part of this, goes into rights also go to Taylor Swift now as well. To Taylor Swift's Only the Young. Really just a segment of it, not like the whole entire song. I didn't include the whole entire song. It's a little bit of a song. But it really talks about how you can be cheated in life and how you can be wronged, but how you must get back up and you have to keep going on, you know? You can't stop doing what you're doing, you know? You have to stand up for what you know is right. And in this, it shows that Leia's like, I know it was hard for you to lose Obi-Wan. I know it was hard for you, Han, to also have to have such a rough childhood. But you know what? The Empire has affected us all here. The Empire has hurt us all here. And if we want to make a difference, if we want to live life on our own terms and our own means better, and we don't want to have this oppression here, and if we don't want to have to deal with such injustices of this system, then let's stand up and fight for it. Because we're not done yet. We're not out of the woods. This is one thing that happened to you. But do you know that thousands others out there have had the same thing happen once, not only once, but maybe even twice and 3 times, because it is the Empire and they are diabolical, you know? She's basically like, he is not the first mentor who's gotten slashed down by Vader, okay? And that's unfortunate. He's not the first Jedi who has either. But Luke, if you want to make it the last one, then you need to get up and fight again. You need to stop holding yourself back. You need to just be you. And Han, living your smuggler lifestyle, Jabba the Hutt is only keeping you captive. You're a wanted man. But you can change your life around if you join us. You can make sure that kids who's been oppressed just like you will never have to go what you did. Will never have to grow up being an orphan. And if they do, there's some type of child care to protect them. And those laws and legislations, we've been trying to get them passed through the Empire for years, but they're not happening. You see that, you know that. And because of those unwritten, unspoken words all in between them, because she talks about Chewie and even his parents within a look, because unfortunately, as you know, Wookiees were not treated like humans. And were unfortunately put into forced labor because she gives them those couple of looks. Because she basically says that all of this is happening, and I know this is a lot. I've lost my adoptive father and mother. Literally only this morning. I know what you're going through. But this is not the time to cry or be somber or to mourn them. This is the time to avenge them. This is the time to avenge everyone who has ever been wronged by the Empire like we have right here, right now. Like we are being. Like it has been done to us. To avenge the ones who have died, standing up to them, and the ones who were wrongfully lost to them. And if you want to stop another Wookiee going into forced labor, if you want to stop another kid from living your hard life, if you want to stop another very important mentor in person and basically father figure in your life from dying, now is the time. Now is the time to stand up and to fight. Because no, this fight is not going to be done yet. And it is hardly over. But if we start doing something, and we all do something now, it lessens and lowers the consequences later. It stops the things that you just can't take back that are irreversible. It saves lives. You know, and with Alderaan being hit, and Alderaan being pretty much the most loveliest place in all of the Star Wars galaxies, you know, there's no way that you just can't get behind that. And that's why Leia basically says it within those looks. She's basically like, okay, I know it's hard. I know we just lost somebody. But you're not the only one who's lost somebody. And if you want to make sure that nobody ever has to go through this again, you are being handed the opportunity to make sure it doesn't. So take it. because we need to rise up from this oppression that the empire has on us. We need to stop letting ourselves be held down and have our wings being clipped, because we have the power. We are the power. We are more powerful than them, and we need to show the world that. We have more strength than the empire. There are more of us than them. And because she basically says that in a few words, because Carrie Fisher so perfectly conveys those messages with just a couple lines in her script and a few knowing looks, you just know you have to fight. You just know you have to do what's right. And it basically inspires Luke to go up there and be like, yeah, let's blow up the Death Star. Let's do it. And for Han to do the same with Chewbacca. And that's the type of things that we need in life. Those are the type of people we need in life. So, yeah. That is it. My friends, that is how we do it. And that's basically what we need in life, you know? We need people to tell these stories, telling us this. And we also need to always have a wake-up call and a reminder in this. Oh, look at that. It just started raining. Beautiful. It really is beautiful when it rains out here. But, yeah, we get to that part of inspiring a new generation. And that's why I named this section of stories, a new generation. Or I think it was the first generation, actually. Yeah, it's the first generation. And it fits so perfectly well. So, yeah. That is why. Okay, my friends, guys, gals, non-binary pals, all my folks out there, we are basically heading up to the end of this video. So, now that you know the story that we're basically telling and what we're going to be seeing, and really just the concept of what you're going to be getting in this, I'm now going to explain what this is from a technical standpoint view. So, what this is a story told through a series of edits. So what I did, and what I will be doing and have done, what I do here is basically I have these edits all go together, kind of like All Is Found, that edit, but way different. It's going to be really different because this is a lot longer than All Is Found and a lot more well thought out and planned. And if you haven't seen that on my channel, you should go and check it out. You'll probably like it, but stay here for now. I'll probably link it in the description down below. But for those of you who don't know what I'm basically referencing, it's just a bunch of edits all together in one video with transitions. And we did chapter 1, which was really our beginning, our intro with Obi-Wan. Then we get into chapter 2. We see the first generation, which I call them the first generation because it's the first generation growing up under an empire. Unlike how Padme and Anakin had it, or even Obi-Wan, they grew up in the time of the good old Republic. So it was a different time back then. But anyway, within this, it's pretty simple. Bunch of edits all flowing in together into one video. Now, the one that is coming out on May 15th of 2021, this year, yep, is basically only the first one in probably what will be a long line of videos, all put together with different edits making these segments. What I'm going to be doing is that I will be doing stories at a different point of time. So I've just finished up this segment of stories, and it has been scheduled to premiere on May 15th, right? So on May 15th, you're going to see that. So what is going to happen in between that? Hope, love? Yeah, what is that? Well, basically, what's going to be in between that is that I'm just going to return to making edits. That's right. So it may not be an edit every single day. Well, on your side, it may not be an edit that goes up every single day, but I will be making an edit and I will be uploading them, of course, and scheduling them and just getting them in on YouTube, of course, like always. So basically, when I'm not working on this story, I'm just gonna be doing regular edits. So it's not gonna be anything crazy or new. And I really do want you to understand that this whole entire series could take over a course of years, okay? It's not gonna be done immediately. That's the point. It's not like all is found. This is a story that is really honed in on every single detail and part, and the transitions are really brought in here through certain things happening. So, of course, that's basically what we got. I mean, to sum it up, this is a video with edits within it that make a whole entire part that is released. This one has 2 chapters. I don't know what the next one will have. Okay? And this will be uploading on May 15th of 2021. Just in case any of you guys are cows or not any cows, friends out there get here in a different year or just need a clarification on that. Also, there will be more videos coming out in this series linking up to make a whole entire story. In between that, when I'm not working on that, I will be working on doing edits as normal and as usual. Planned. And I'll probably also make a what is it called? I'll probably make a playlist on YouTube when the second one comes out, or just pre-make it now. So then y'all can all watch them in order, back to back, and yeah. That's basically it. That is what this is. So yeah. I'm pretty sure I don't need to clarify anymore. That is what Stories is. This is how it's working. We've got that out of the way. So without further ado, I'm going to wrap up the video and say I love you all. I can't wait for Stories to come out. The first part of Stories to come out on May 15th. And stay in good health, loves. Stay in good shape, loves. And always, always truly be you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'll see you next time.